Welcome to Increase, where it is my task to increase, illustrate, and inundate you with information, knowledge, and overall help cause you to think. And I'm your host, Alpheus Gibbs Sr. Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Increase, and we are just here to make you think. I am so excited about today's topic. I'm so excited about just the day. Today is just a beautiful day, even though where I am is brisk. It's a little cold outside. I'm really excited about just things that's happening personally, but just also even the things that I'm seeing around people that I know. Today's broadcast is really going to be for those who are creative. Today is really about those who are, songwriters, those who, produce things, to my entrepreneurs, to my writers. This is this is our chance to really just get encouraged. And I would just want to encourage, all of my creatives. Good afternoon, everyone who's coming in. Um, I'm really, I consider myself somewhat creative, and I think that a lot of times I kind of poo-poo on myself because when I look at stuff that I create, even though I love it, it's like I want to go even higher and go even more over the top. So I want to encourage our creatives today. Those, those people who, are always churning out new ideas, those who are really, just finding themselves, whether they're drawing or coloring or producing music, even leaders who are, preachers or whatever. Like, I just want to encourage you guys with dealing with this particular topic, and that is, you know figuring out, are you stuck or are you frozen, right? Because it's a difference being stuck in a place or in a train of thought versus just being frozen for the moment, frozen in whatever capacity that you're in. I believe that a lot of times we who are creative, when we don't have all of the necessary supplies, when you don't have everything that, all of the help that you need, all of that stuff, sometimes it gets so frustrating that it feels like you're stuck, but you're really frozen. So let's just take it section at a time, right? So, frozen. Frozen people are those people who are right at a place wherein they are trying to overcome not even a small hurdle, but they're trying to also overcome themselves. They are people who, for a moment, maybe it may last week, 2 weeks, or whatever, but they're those people who are producing, they're productive, but they find themselves just at this one moment or this one area in their life. There are when you're creative, you set up systems, right? When you are a person who writes or a person even who runs a business, you set up a system of how you do things. You wake up every morning. You have your morning routine. Once you get done with your morning routine, you may go down to the office, or you may go into that area in your home that you start to create. And as you're there, you have a routine in which you may listen to music, you may meditate a little bit more, you may begin to write out and think out those things that you want to create, you want to start producing, or you may be in the midst of producing, and so you're now trying to get yourself to that place wherein, okay, it's time to start creating, start putting your hands to whatever it is, right? So you're getting there and you're doing the work, and you just seem like you can't get over this one task or this one area. There may even be times when you get to a certain part of the work that the phone always rings, or you start getting distracted, you start playing games on your phone, you start doing all kind of other stuff, right? But the thing is that you're not stuck, you're just frozen. And so we got to be careful of how we name stuff. We got to be careful how we begin to even talk to ourselves, right? Because if you're not increasing your positive flow, your positive affirmations, right, you're going to find yourself from going from being frozen to being stuck. And so people who are frozen in that moment, you're just waiting on your thawing out period. That thawing out period may be recognizing what sort of things is tripping you up. It may be recognizing that, okay, my phone rings every time I start doing this. So no matter who it is or what it is, I'm going to ignore it and do the task. It's like when I try to teach people on a spiritual level, and they're like, how do I pray and not go to sleep? And I say, well, when you start yawning and all of this stuff, don't drop your head, don't lay your head down. Stand up for a minute and continue to pray. You may get on one knee and finish praying. Those various things. And even though it may increase you another 10 minutes or 15 minutes, those extra minutes, if you continuously do them, you'll find yourself busting out of that space where you go to sleep. So it's the same way, even for those of you who are creative, right? You're a t-shirt maker, you're a hat maker, you're a shoe designer, you're a fashion mogul in the making, right? Because all of us are becoming who we are ultimately supposed to be, right? We're all in that space of becoming. I'm becoming a millionaire. I'm becoming a millionaire by being consistent in the small things, because I understand that in the small things, it's going to affect the bigger things. If I can be faithful and I can be consistent in the small things, then when it comes to bigger tasks, as I continuously become, it'll be that much more easier, because I've done the work in the small areas. It's all like, think about it like this. It's always those small areas in our life that hinder us. If you're trying to lose weight, or you're trying to become a better writer or drawer or whatever, like, if you can't get down to fundamentals and practice those things continually, then you'll never be able to achieve the bigger things. So I just want to encourage my creatives, my people who are grinding day in and day out. You're trying to break this glass ceiling, but I want to tell you, right? You may be in that frozen state, and you're like, man, I keep hitting this glass ceiling. Like, what do I need to do? Let me coach you right here and just share that. Yo, stop beating yourself up because you're spending more time fighting yourself than actually breaking through where you're trying to go. And so when you say you have a glass ceiling, you got to now begin to define that glass ceiling. What is it that you're trying to achieve? What area in your life are you trying to expand? Right? If you're trying to expand, your music genre, right? So then you need to start listening to music outside of your genre of music so that you can now begin to incorporate other melodies and other instruments into your music. Begin to look at not only the flow of the music, but the pitch of the music. Begin to look at the frequencies in which you're playing so that now you're trying to create a mood, whether it's for love or to dance. Then you're able to do those things. If you're doing it, you're creative, you're a person who makes t-shirts and other fashion design, you're making skirts and dresses, and you're trying to do something even with jeans, right? So then you got to now begin to go back and look at history. Look at the name, your luxury brands. They always go back to like the Victorian era, and they may add a certain pattern. They may look at other cultures and begin to borrow the patterns and color tones from there. So if you're a creative in the clothing area, begin to look at those things. Begin to think outside the box and really look at your target audience and go, okay, well, most of the people who are buying my stuff are plus size people, or thicker in this area than in other areas. So then begin to create some things that will cater to them, and then build them in their confidence. you know but you're looking at it and you're going, I'm frozen, man. I'm stuck. I don't know how to break out of this. How am I gonna thaw out? Like, it's this one area right here. And so it's really taking a step back, going, you know what? I'm productive in all of these other areas. My thawing out period is my observation period. My thawing out period is me looking at who I'm trying to attract, and then begin to work what I'm trying to attract into the plan that I have. One thing is for certain, my creatives, don't abandon the plan. Don't abandon it. Don't abandon the plan. You may have to tweak it. You may have to add some more to it. You may have to even become more clear in some areas, but don't abandon your plan, because the plan is a part of you. And so, even though you may feel like everything is going wrong, a lot of times it's really just small tweaks in it that can build an empire that you've been dreaming about, right? Even to my people who sing, even to my people who write, begin to not just even be around other people who write, begin to look at the bestseller books and begin to go, what made them a bestseller? Begin to look at those things. Look at a J.K. Rowling. Why was Harry Potter so popular? It wasn't the magic and all of this other stuff. It wasn't even like she was such a great writer, but it's really honing into your target audience. So, you got to look at those things because you're frozen. You're not stuck, you're just frozen. And so when you're in that frozen state, right, it may seem like everything you touch isn't working, or things is moving very slow and incremental. Take those as a win. Listen to me. Take it as a win. Don't look at it as a loss. Every inch, every step, even a half step is a win. Guess what? Even when you have to take a step back, that's a win. Why is all of this a win? How is my failure a win? Well, your failure, your step backs, your half steps is movement. It does not just say, it is not saying that you are a bad at this, but what it is saying is you did it this way, do it a different way. It's really saying to you, break down compartmentally everything that went on in that situation, in that business, in your drawings, in your songwriting, in your music, in your t-shirt design, in your clothing design, in your shoe design. Break that stuff down. Break it down to as small as you can. You may even want to ask someone who is already in that field to help you in breaking it down. And in you doing that, you'll begin to see those key areas that you were missing. Sometimes we're not successful in business because we don't know our numbers. Other times we're not successful in business is because we're looking at you, your designs are great, but it's so concentrated in one space, right? Some patterns look better on shoes than clothes. Some designs needed accessories and others didn't. Sometimes the design and everything looked good, but the model didn't fit the clothes that you were putting out there. Sometimes the camera and the way you took the picture was so horrible that it wasn't appealing to the eye. Sometimes your music is not that it's bad, but you didn't add enough instruments to give it a bass. Your frequency wasn't at a level where it conveyed over the feeling that you were trying to get. Think about it like this: when you go to a horror movie, they always play the same frequency when the killer is about to show up or when there's danger, because they understand the frequency of the music has to carry over to the ears of the person who is watching the movie to create an emotion that they are desiring. Even when it comes to writing, even when it comes to any of those things, you it's that balancing act between your customer and your creative flow and your creative space. Sometimes when you're writing, you may do poor character development, but your imagery about the scene is so perfect that it overshadows the lack of character development. Sometimes it's vice versa, and the character development is so wonderful that you don't really care that they don't really give you the details so that you know exactly what's going on within the story. So you really need to begin to find that balancing act. And so you're not stuck, you're just frozen. It's a specific area in your creative flow that has you halted or hindered so that you're not able to fulfill the project the way that you want to. So I want to, again, encourage my creatives today that sometimes we get so distracted and being frozen that we stop moving, we stop creating, we get frustrated because sometimes you're not receiving the love from your audience, or you may seem like you may have lost a few people along the journey. But here's the thing, when those times happen, when it seems like no one cares about your brand, that's why you care about it, because it's your baby. It's a part of who you are. It's not something that you threw together and just threw out there so people can like it, but it's really about saying, yo, this is this is my idea that is carrying a message. So, my people who are frozen, ask yourself not why, but what does my brand represent? What is my brand saying when I'm asleep? What is my brand saying when other people are wearing it? What kind of conversation is it building and is it bringing? Because when you look at a Tommy Hilfiger, or when you look at a Ralph Lauren, or you look at a Michael Jordan shoe, it tells not just, oh, this is expensive, but this goes and it's attached to work. It's attached to a message. It's attached to a story. So when you're creating, think about your story, right? When you're creating in your mind, picture cameras around you. Picture paparazzi with cameras and the lights, and they're filming you and they're asking you interviewing questions while you're creating. Oh, we see that you're using, pastels early before spring. Why is that? What made you what brought that inspiration to use pastel colors this early? What inspiration drew you to African print in the middle of winter? Like, when we're looking more so at darker hues, the browns and darker greens and burnt orange, what brought you to using brighter colors but with the African print? Is this something that ties to maybe your heritage? And in those moments as you're creating, there should be some kind of illumination pulling you out of that frozen place, because now you're seeing yourself as the mogul that you're becoming. And that sooner or later some people are going to begin to interview you. But also, when you're doing your elevator pitch, or when you send your little card that has your product in it, that they get another snippet of the designer. It brings about that connection that social media can't bring. Social media brings a connection that has a lot of falsitudes, but it's something when you have something tangible in your hand from the designer themselves, that it's like, yo, they put their hands on this. Like, yeah, even though it is being mass produced, somewhere in a room, the designer had me in mind. It brings about a personal connection that you may not even think about it as you continue to grow, but it's really there, right? It's really and truly there. So then, my people who are stuck, I want to speak to you. When you are stuck, that it's not that you have no movement. When you are stuck, it's like you're at the end of the book. You don't know, you have no way of moving forward because you don't know what's next. You've achieved your goals and you're saying, what's next? I don't know where I want to take my brand. I don't know if I even want to continue to do what I'm doing. Right? Like, I got some friends that are so creative. My wife is so creative. It's almost like she's one of those people that I have friends with, that you could put them in a room and you could put, a whole bunch of patterns and of fabric. You could put all kind of ingredients in one area and say, listen, you got 1 week to come up with something. And they'll come out with something like you would have never even imagined. But it's like, once you have achieved what your goals are, you don't know what's next. And I want to help you right there. You know what happened? You stop expanding. Once you start getting about halfway into what your dreams are and you have momentum and flow, you got to start expanding, right? Like, you're creating t-shirts. You got to start creating socks. We need socks to go with the pants and the t-shirt. We need a hat that's going to offset the t-shirt that goes with the sweats that's attached to the socks. Like, we need you to start collaborating with shoe designers who will take someone's Air Force Ones that's going to match the pattern of the pants, that's gonna match the shirt that you created, that the hat is offsetting. Like, you got to start expanding. Like, if you're writing and you're like, listen, I just wrote this one time book, but you got to, in the midst of, you got to start also thinking about the follow-up. Like, you gotta begin to think about, okay, what's my next subject that I want to put out there? You got to start really challenging yourself to go even harder, right? Because it's not about this. You're not a one-trick pony. You're not a one-hit wonder, right? You're a person who has creative just flowing through your blood. Like, nobody's like, no, like, you should be starting to prepare yourself for people to look for you, to collaborate with them. You should be looking for Lagerfeld. You should be looking for Prada. You should be looking for these upper brands to want to collaborate with you. You should, as you're creating, you need to start thinking about, okay, at some point, Damon John is going to see my designs and he's going to want to work with me. He's going to put an offer that's going to benefit me more than it's going to benefit him, but it's also going to take my brand globally like never before. Like, I'm going to be like Tommy Hilfiger was in the late 80s, early 90s. Like, I'm going to be a local known brand, and then all of a sudden, you're going to start seeing me everywhere. You got to start looking at, like, I'm looking at this podcast now, and already in my mind, I'm already talking with TD Jakes. I'm already interviewing, Kev on stage. I'm already sitting with Dave Chappelle. I'm already, like, in my mind, I already see it. I'm already seeing myself sitting with Kevin Hart and we're laughing. And then he goes, let me pull out my phone and I'm going to call The Rock. And we're all sitting there just laughing and we're on increase. Like, you got to start thinking about that. That's right. That global status. Like, you can't just allow yourself to relegate yourself to just being, oh, I'm just this local brand. Oh, this book is going to do, fairly well. It's going to do okay. Or my song is going to be nice or whatever. You got to start pushing yourself to that next limit. Like, okay, I'm starting to get close to the end of my goal, because you don't want to get stuck. That's how people get stuck. It's because they've achieved what they wanted. People start a business. So they start a business because they're trying to offset their income for tax season. But then you start looking at it and you're going, okay, the only thing you did was create a job for yourself while you're still working another job. You didn't think about, man, I want to get to the place where I'm hiring people to do this job, to work my business while I work on another business, so that I can hire other people to run that business, right? So you're getting stuck because all you wanted to do was just offset your taxes. Okay, you've achieved that. And now you're saying, well, I'm stuck. I can't go on vacation because I got to work this business, so on and so forth. No, as you are growing, you ought to begin to expand that vision. You got to begin to expand, look at yourself and go, I'm too creative to just stop right here. Like, I am so much bigger than this. You got to go from making t-shirts to making vests. Have you even thought about bomber jackets? Like, do we have you even thought about making glasses, shades? Like, you're writing a book. Have you ever thought about the book that you're writing, doing a subset book for children, that as the parents are reading one, then the children are reading, and then it has coloring sections in it, so that both are getting getting reading in, and they're also getting quality time. Like, you got to begin to expand yourself. Have you looked at, okay, well, I'm creating music for this. Have you ever even just thought about taking your music and then applying it to other things that's going on in the world today? Maybe taking your music and applying it to the news, but instead of it being like taking the CNN news, taking that music and going, well, this is what they're not telling you. And then people are like, they're bopping their head and they're like, okay, because we know that our subconscious is speaks and shows us imagery while we're sleeping. That's why they always put music to learning when you're even a child. It's not just so that it's entertaining, but it's palatable and it's also easy to learn and remember. And so you got to begin to take your gift, take your talents, and begin to expand it as you're going. So what? You've heard the ABC song done a million ways. When you add yours, it's going to be a million and one. You may look at your child's drawings and go, okay, let me scan this and let me pull out all of the colors that my child colored, and then begin to produce a book. Because most children draw alike. And so if they see a drawing that is already look like something that they have drawn, don't you think that they will be more prone to coloring it and enjoying it versus one that looks all perfect, has perfect circles, all of this other stuff? It's those things, it's those ideas that you have that you're saying, well, I'm stuck because traditionally this is all that is there. Baby, you got to create your own lane. You got to begin to create your own genres. You got to begin to create, you got to think of yourself like Reddit, right? Reddit has subculture, subsections, and then they got subsections of subsections. So you got to look at it like that. You got to look at it like hip hop and rap. There are subsections to rap and hip hop, and then there's even subsections to even that. You know, rap in New York is different than rap in Miami. That's different than rap in Atlanta. That's different than rap in Houston. That's different than rap in St. Louis and in LA. And even in LA, you got the Bay Area, you got Vallejo, you got all kind of sub areas within just California, and they all have their different kinds of music. So why look at yourself? Why look at what you can create and go, well, this is it? Have you ever even thought about making a skirt that you can flip internally or flip out and it can turn into a nice dress, a halter top dress? And if you don't want the dress, you just fold it in and it's there. Like, you got to really begin to take what you have and then begin to expand on it. Begin to look at yourself more than just this one particular person or entity. You know, it's really going, am I doing this so that I can just say at least I tried it? Please don't have please don't halfway do anything, right? Don't halfway put out a product and then when it's not successful, you're frustrated and you're upset. There are plenty of examples where people have created things and they stuck to their guns and people eventually came over to it, right? Rap music didn't always have a rock and roll push and feel to it, and now it's something that is widely accepted. There are things that you have inside of you that you need to create and put it out there, and put it out there with the same vigor and excitement that others do, because eventually people will begin to go, oh, I rock with that. Yeah, I remember when this came out. Do you understand that major brands get designers based off of their quirky designs? And it worked, and they love it so much that they even begin to incorporate it within their own design patterns. And so you're thinking that they came up with something that is, monstrous or whatever, but the true designer of that garment now works for them. Now, I would say, be a co-owner or whatever. But that's up to you and your lawyers and how you want to structure that thing. But I just want to encourage my creatives. Like, today is Monday, Monday fun day, Monday creative day. Today, you wake up, you start your day with just being grateful and thankful. You start your day understanding that this is going to be the start of an amazing, immensely creative week. And then you just really get dialed in. Get dialed in. It's not about doing everything or trying to become this multi-millionaire in 2 months. It's really about becoming. It's really about self-discovery. It's really about allowing yourself to explore all of you in every aspect of it, right? Just really being that person who can just say, yo, I didn't even think this was gonna work, but it's got a funky, like twist to it. It's beaming. I love it. Even though nobody rocks with it, I dig it. I love it. You know what I'm saying? You got to really begin to just go, I'm going to defy all of the odds. I'm going to go and just do it. I'm just going to put it out there because I like it. And I know my fans, you may not even have number one fan, but you got to just begin to call it like The Rock. And the millions and millions, like you just got to begin to speak it, begin to declare it, begin to just see it until it begins to manifest itself, until it begin to happen. Like, listen, my millions of fans, they're gonna rock with this. They're gonna see this. It's gonna be some little kids in Japan that's gonna see this design, and it's gonna be a part of their culture, and they're gonna trace it all the way back to a designer in, in a 3 bedroom, apartment, struggling initially, but making it happen, right? They're gonna my book. Oh man, my book is gonna be translated in over 50 different languages. It's gonna be translated in 50 different languages, even on Audible. It may not even hit the New York Times bestseller, but it's gonna be a book that's gonna be legendary. That even when I'm gone, that people are still going to be recommending people to read my book because it's that much. It's so impactful, you can't ignore it. Even though it may not do the numbers like some of the other celebrity books, guess what? It's still gonna rock. I mean, you got to begin to see yourself with whatever you're cooking, being on in the next magazine of O, and Oprah Winfrey is shouting you out saying, "Hey, y'all need to go and go online to this website and order this cheesecake or order this German chocolate cake or this red velvet cake or whatever." Because when I got it, even through the mail, it was just moist. I mean, delicious. I've never had anything ordered online to taste this good. I mean, you got to begin to see other people bragging on your brand just as much as you brag on it. When you are creating and you may feel frozen or you may even be in a place that you're stuck, you just got to look at it and go, listen, this is temporary. I'm stuck because I didn't even expand myself. I'm sleeping on me. If you if you have enough courage to start it, and you begin to make money off of it, why not? Why not go, you know what? I'm going to double down on me. If I'm going to double down on anybody, it's going to be me. If I'm going to believe in anything, anybody, listen, but me and God first, but me second. I'm going to believe in me. I believe in God. God got me. That way, I'm going to believe in me because He put me here for this purpose. He put me here for a plan. And when you start looking at what you create and you go, listen, this is going to change lives, they're going to be like, man, you're crazy. You're bugging. How is it? You're out of your mind. You're out of your noodle. What is wrong with you? How you figure like you creating this is going to change the world? It's because it's not the product, it's the story behind it. It is the connection behind it. They're not just gonna have what I've created. They're gonna get the story. They're gonna see someone who started out in whatever place that you started out, but they're also going to see me rise, and they're going to be with me for the entire journey. When I slip and fall to when I pick myself back up again, when I go through whatever, because once you start doing this, you got to start looking at yourself as a public figure. You got to start understanding that there's some little kid, in their room or some guy or a girl somewhere looking at your content and they're admiring it or they're trying to tear you down. But even the people who try to tear you down, they're getting your name out there. That means that now what you put out there is so iconic that they can't sleep at night because they got to talk about you. Your story is so compelling that they had to write a paragraph about you. That you're so influential that you stopped their day so that they could talk about you. Like, you don't even think about how impactful you are, how powerful you are, and you're creative. Take your creativity and just really begin to go, this is my superpower. This is my superpower. This is how this is how I'm going to bring change to the world. This is how I'm going to affect some little kid generations that I won't even ever see because I dared to dream. I dared to look at my past and say, you know what? I'm going to build on this. I'm going to take all of my mistakes, all of my shortcomings, and I'm just going to make it happen. And whatever scale that it does, that it happens, that it is what it is. It is what it is. And I love it. And people going to appreciate me for it. That even if they don't recognize me now, they'll eventually recognize me for it. Because I'm not doing it for the recognition. I'm doing it because I'm sharing a portion of me. And so I wanted to encourage you guys today that whatever you're doing, you're making history. So if you're making history, make it count. If this is what you've been called to do, if this is what you're putting your hands to do, make it count. If you're frozen, don't worry, you're going to thaw out soon. Make it count. Make every second count. If you're stuck, don't worry about it. Begin to look at what you have going on and begin to expand where you are. Begin to do it incrementally so that you're not just jumping out there and the fear of failure overtakes you, and instead of you continuously moving forward, you begin to withdraw everything and lose all that you have. But begin to expand incrementally into other areas and test the waters out, and then begin to move, stepping out there on faith, and watch things begin to change, watch things begin to happen. Begin to look at yourself and go, you know what? This is not the end. Yeah, I started this. This is nice. I like it. I love it. But this isn't the end. I got so much more in the tank. And guess what? You got to begin to talk to yourself. That's one of the best times to have a board meeting. You got to begin to talk to yourself. Production, what are we looking like? Hey, well, we're doing this right now, and I think we can increase by 10%. Excellent. What does that look like? You got to begin to have a moment of meeting with yourself and begin to pull yourself out of that stuck space. And when you get yourself out of that stuck space, when you finally begin to wake up and realize that you are badass and that you are a person who is not just a person who created this or that, but you are a brand that people will begin to that people will support and is supporting, then you can't, the sky's just the limit. You'll begin to go places that you never thought you would go. You'll begin to see people supporting you whom you've never had a conversation with. People will begin to know your name and you don't know who they are. But guess what? This is what you prepared for. This is what you have been working towards because you are becoming. So whether you're frozen or whether you're stuck, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Don't look down on yourself. Don't look down on your situation. Don't look down on those who don't support you. Don't look down on the small incremental people who do support you. But honestly and genuinely appreciate everything that you get while also saying, you know what? We're going to tear down some more walls. We're going to expand. We're going to go into areas that nobody has ever, uncharted territory. I'm heading your way. I'm heading your way. Some of you need to start doing some pop-ups at flea markets and just begin to go, hey, I'm in the place. Tweet to your fans. I'm in the area. I have, X amount of product. Come see me. Begin to network in areas that you never even thought possible. Have you ever even thought about collaborating with someone who is in the mall, who has one of those little small booths and that you pass by all the time, and it seems like they're not even getting those sales. Have you ever thought about just popping up with them and say, hey, let's collaborate, maybe like on a Friday or whatever, and listen, I'll give you a certain percentage of whatever I make, you know, just to sell this little bit of product or to let people know who I am and where I am. And guess what? They'll appreciate it because a lot of times they're robbing Peter to pay Paul in order for them to be in the mall. They also have franchise fees and so on and so forth. So guess what? Expanding yourself in those areas so that now you can begin to get your name out there to people that may not even know who you are or what you sell or what product that that you're promoting. It's many ways to do those things. Flea markets, fresh farm market, yo, it's out here. Let them know, listen, I have X amount of followers, I have this going on. You know, you may even do whatever in this, eco-friendly. Hey, we're eco-friendly, we're doing this, that, and the third. Can how much would it be? Can I come here and do my thing? Boom. You in there like swimwear. You ready to do what it is you need to do, getting your name to a market that you never even thought possible. Never even thought possible. Reaching out to people who oftentimes don't even get that kind of recognition. Then do a live. Hold your phone up. Hey, listen, this is where I am. This is what they have going on. You guys need to come out, so on and so forth. It's all about getting yourself not even out of your comfort zone, but putting you in a different place so that now you can begin to get even more creative. Have you ever even thought about going places to get different inspiration? Like, I love looking at waterfalls. Sometimes I'm on YouTube and I'm just watching waterfalls, just different places that have beautiful waterfall. Just the sound of the water, just the serenity, the scenery and everything that is there. It's just beautiful. It's calming. But I also begin to get ideas about different things that I want to do just from watching those things. Sometimes you just got to take yourself out of that place of your normalcy so that you can begin to flow again. So again, I just wanted to encourage my creatives, my people who, you're producing in so many different ways. Don't feel bad where you are. Be encouraged. Knock it out the park. You got more in the tank than you'll ever realize. There's so much more in store for you. You just got to continue to keep the faith. You got to look at yourself as you're becoming and not someone who's already arrived. Continue to be that student so that you can learn more than what you even know right now. Keeping yourself afresh and abreast of every trend that's going on so that you yourself can be even more marketable. Listen, this has been Increase. I appreciate you for rocking with me, hanging out with me today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a fabulous week, and I'll see you here on Friday at 1 o'clock where we will begin another episode of Increase. Be blessed.